So how many of you have meditated before? Or most of you? Yeah, so that's why you're here. So this activity of stopping and reflecting is a kind of part of the human journey, right? Is evolution of our species. We've come to a point now where we're kind of conscious, Homo conscious, Homo sapien now. We're kind of aware of our situation. And so we're very blessed to have the opportunity to kind of stop and look at ourselves and reflect and look at our situation. So hopefully this week, stuff will come up, things will be revealed, and you'll have some insights. That's what's wonderful about being human, that you're going to have some moments of, aha, okay. So that's our hope for people in a society. Finding relief is one thing, finding de-stressing is one thing, finding calm and peace is nice too, but the best is when you realize something, you have insight. Yeah, so it's not just to try to stay calm and peaceful, because sometimes it won't be like that. In fact, it won't be like that forever. But the thing that is most rewarding and doesn't leave you is when you have an insight about yourself and about your journey. So that's what we do here in the monastery. A place for us to understand our situation, our lives, our relationship, ourselves, as well as what's happening with the world, and so on, our relationships. So that's just a little kind of sharing about what we do here. And my brother and I, we do it full time. So we're like professional basketball players. You guys are visiting and you're learning the game. But we do this as our lives, and we're not better than you. It's just we've just done it a little bit longer. So let's sit comfortably. We'll listen to the sound of the bell. Just take a moment. We've been on the road, we've been on the plane, and now we're sitting, and just take a moment and do a check-in. My brother invite 3 sounds of the bell, and you'll hear a lot of this. And every time you hear the sound of the bell, it's just to check in. It's just to stop and check in. And one bodily sensation that you can immediately return to is our breath. So right away you check in with this in-breath and this out-breath. So you check in the quality of that breath. Then you check in with your body. The breath helps us bring awareness back to our body. So every time you hear a bell or the clock chiming in the dining hall, or on your own even, remember, is to stop and just check in with our breath, with our body. And if you stay long enough, you can check in with your feelings, the sensation of your mind. How do you feel? You feel anxious, feel a little anxiety, you feel calm. So we train to get used to that. So you're weak here, you should try to have more time of this checking in. So my brother invite the bell, and when you hear the bell, let the reverberation connect with that reverberation. So we can close our eyes, and each one of us, we have an energy. We also have a rhythm from our bodily function, our heart especially. So we also have a rhythm. And our breath is a rhythm. So when you hear the sound of the bell, think of synchronizing. Okay? So our body sometimes has tension. So with each in and out breath, we synchronize. And the out breath, you let go. Out breath, you relax, let go. So your body can help guide your mind. For more at ease in your body. And with each sound, my brother will invite 3 sounds. With each sound, the checking in, you can feel the quality of our breath, the quality of our bodily presence, embodying, as well as our awareness of feeling, sensation, and just recognize it, whatever that is. So bring in, I enjoy my in-breath. Breathing out, I enjoy my out-breath. We can open our eyes. Just to check out there. Did anybody have a aha moment? You recognize something? You can share it? Did you notice anything?
I noticed my feeling, sort of anxiety and tension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where was it around? Or?
Heart and up to my shoulders.
Ah, wonderful. That's great. That's okay. Why am I holding this fist? Anyone else recognize anything? Yeah, you recognize something?
Just a situation that I can't control it.
Ah, wonderful. Yeah, feeling, is it let it be? Let it be. Thank you for practicing. So that's basically what we do here in the monastery, is to stop and learn to check in with ourselves. Society and the way it's structured out there, it's not very conducive to moments like that. So it's not very productive. So you come to the monastery, you become less productive and more, I don't know what's the inverse of productive, but is to come back and stop and take care of ourselves and recognize the wonderful things that are happening as well. So in our practice is to have pain, to have suffering, to have stress, to be overloaded, to be burnt out, that happens, and to all of us, even to us in the monastery. But because we have community and we know how to practice, then we can also recognize there are beautiful things happening as well, and they can coexist. So you don't have to heal or have less suffering and then all of it gone in order for you to enjoy being alive, enjoy being whatever you're having. So that's the practice. Eventually you'll see that things are always dynamic, moving, and we become more resilient, more able to hold it. So that's a quality that we have when we become more stable. I call it being solid, like a mountain. So a practitioner, one who learns to stop and come back with themselves, they become at ease with who they are. So they're not disturbed by when challenges happen to them or when things don't go the way it does within their family, within themselves, expectation in society. the way we react, our attitude, much more solid, much more stable. And the more we give time to recognize the impermanence, the changes, and the challenges that the human drama of being alive is there. It's part of it. So this is a way of meditation, and this practice here of stopping, of mindfulness, helps us become more resilient. We're not disturbed. We're more stable, more solid. So that's a quality that we can develop, actually. So in meditation, in recognizing our breath, our mere in and out, we train ourselves to be in constant awareness that things are always shifting. You see the advantage why we're professional basketball players, and then people outside don't train like that. They think everything is permanent and things don't change. My loved one, why are you different today? How come you're so different? You're not the same person I met before. I'm like, what happened? You're not the same person as 20 years ago. So we all, the habit, things are like that. Just because we don't have time to really reflect on the nature of things. And our breath, moment to moment, one feeling you have now is not there anymore. Just because you pay attention to other things. So this is what we train in, to direct our attention and pay attention to things. And to also, hopefully your week here, you find time to pay attention to what is going well. There's a lot of news now, a lot of media about everything going wrong. And as a human species, as a aware mind, I don't think we're meant to be aware. And especially now with the internet, our mind is not supposed to be aware of so many things that are going wrong. It's just like, it's like, every day, morning, afternoon. Who listens to NPR here? Yeah? Oh gosh. I had that habit. Every time I drive to work in the morning, drive in the afternoon, it's the same news. Do you remember that? And it's constantly, and then, you basically feeding yourself like this energy, this attention to what is going wrong. So our week here is to refortify ourselves with freshness. So the flower in us, we have a mountain, but we also have a flower, right? So freshness. So wake up, have a fresh thought. Our habit of grumpy and slamming the alarm is because, we have to work 9 to 5 on a job that is tough, but we still have to do it. But we don't allow that kind of attitude to overwhelm us. So we train to have, fresh thoughts. And as a young monk, a novice monk, we learned these poems, when you open the door, when you get off the bed, our first gatha, we learn 4-line poems that help guide our mind to think fresh thoughts, wholesome thoughts, nourishing thoughts, joyful, miraculous thoughts. Waking up this morning, I smile. I have 24 brand new hours before me, and I will enjoy it. Yeah, something like that, right? So you actually repeat that right when you wake up. This is the training. I used to hang a leaf over my bed just to remember to do that. And there's one for stepping. Today I will step, and if I inadvertently step on a bug, may it be born in a place of peace. And so you raise compassion that today I will walk and I will create less suffering. When you open the window, there's another gatha. When you turn on the water, so it's to retrain our mind to recognize. It's like, wow, it's a gift to be born. Our parents gave us this life. And eventually we have to return it back to the earth where we all came from, right? Mother Earth gave birth to us. And this awareness that you're listening to me, you understand what I'm going on, you have memories, things, it's like amazing. Like, as a human being, like you understand, and I'm transmitting ideas, and you're processing it, and you're like, whatever, you're like, you're having your own conscious thought. That's Homo sapien, right? Our ability to like, wow, not only did we straighten our back and walk straight and feel a little proud that we're better than the apes, maybe too proud. Now we can destroy everything. But hopefully we become more conscious, meaning we also know what's right and wrong, and what is helpful and not helpful, and what is more suffering and less suffering. Hopefully that's where we're evolving. It seems like we are, and we're being made to evolve that way in the last year or two. And this is a part of our evolution, to not see ourselves separate. So freshness, okay? Waking up and then create that habit. So mountain, so these are habits that we train in, besides sitting still, touching peace, feeling calm, these kind of typical things that we normally associate with meditation. But those things are also impermanent and can create a lot of suffering if you strive just for that. So this is something you have to be careful about. There's a lot of bad rap about meditation. It's because people are seeing it as a technique to de-stress, to find peace, to find happiness. So it becomes like a tool, like to how to do a startup. It's like, this is how you get to peace. And it doesn't work like that. And so here, the way we approach meditation is a whole way of being, a way of life. So that happens right when you wake up. So it's not in the meditation hall, but it's an attitude, it's a whole way of looking at our place as a human being. So it's a little more broad than just the human drama, like when things don't go our way, right? So that's why kind of meditation fails, because it's like in the box of using it to get something. And we're in the Zen tradition, and we say, if you got it, you got to let it go. It's terrible. Like, you get it, you find peace, and then you have to let it go. It's like, come on. Zen tradition is like that. As soon as you get it, the saying, you find the Buddha, chop the head off. That's the tradition of Zen. And it means, even the object of peace and happiness and peace and calmness and transformation, healing, all that, if you make that an object to grasp, then you would just become, you're applying the same thing, the habit, outside to meditation. So freshness, mountain, qualities of how you move through the day, okay? And then another quality that pay attention to is our little freedom, our little lightness. Okay, are we free? So these are things we can recognize. And then the fourth one is a kind of clarity. These are qualities that we begin to train and cultivate as a meditator, as a basketball players dribble, shoot. They train in that, and how many times they do it? Like millions of times, right? And here we train to be a mountain. That means we don't get moved by our emotions and our past and so on. We recognize, we hold, We become more resilient. We're not afraid of suffering. We're not afraid of uneasiness. We're not afraid of someone irritating us. Boy, I wish he can be a little bit more, less, less talkative. You recognize, okay. So you become resilient to your own kind of judgment. You understand? That's resilience. So you don't try to get rid of it, but you kind of befriend it, and it can actually be the condition to have the, that's why I keep thinking like that. That's my mom. I can see it now, or like, that's why I always want to jump in to be the first one to share. Because in my family, no one listens to me. You have insight like that. It's the goal of why we do all of this. And when you have that insight, nobody can take it away from you. And that is a real spiritual happiness. That's what outside they don't teach, and they don't have places to train and that. And so this kind of these things that we train in, to be a mountain, to be fresh, right? And these things have to be trained. It's not the training that we got in the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years is in our family, in society, is kind of like a little bit imbalanced, or kind of I became very selfish through my education and professional life. Watching their budget, my budget, our project, and so you get trained very differently. And so we get kind of depleted, our spiritual, our wholeness, our kindness. And clarity, seeing things and the nature of things. So when we come here, we get to look at it. And to hopefully these other, being resilient, stopping, having freshness and mountain, it kind of goes together, that you begin to see clearly things more clearly. Meaning you recognize what's going on. Okay, this is craving. Cool, I like it. I'm taking more than I need. That's insight, Or like, this is avoidance. Okay, this is judgment. So you begin to know how to call things out as it is. That is freedom. We don't delude ourselves and say, I'm a nice person, but actually you're very selfish. You're like, whoa, actually I'm just kind of greedy because I want to be the nice person, the nicest person in the room. And you call it out. You're like, that's greed, actually. That's not nice. So anyway, these are all my experience, right? So, you find your own thing, but I had many realizations about myself, and it just makes me happy. It's not like I become a better person. It's just now I kind of like know, okay, I do that. And then you become hopefully more humorous about it. And that's where the resilience comes in. You don't judge yourself. You don't beat yourself up. Well, at first I beat myself up. I tried real hard. And then I suffered really bad, dug a hole, and then eventually had to climb out. So I'll tell you, it's not always nice and dandy like this. It's progress, and there's regress, and then you go again. So I don't want to promise you anything, because it doesn't work like that. Each one of us will need to go through our ups and downs. I hope it's kind of like a disclaimer, right? So don't blame us, don't blame me. If you hit it this week, you're supposed to hit it. And it's great to hit it while you're in a monastery, because, it's a good place to find out something about yourself that's hard. And I have to be honest that I was so glad to be in community, when, I hit my kind of like wall. Yeah, when you realize a lot of things all together. So here we learn how to, transform suffering, pain, whatever, trauma, the different words for suffering, into lotuses, or to recognize how they need each other. So we're not afraid of suffering, not afraid of irritation, not afraid of judgment, not afraid of self-sabotage, all of this stuff we call mud. The attitude is not to get rid of it. The attitude is to understand it and why it is like that, the cause. You see? So that then you become kind of like, not free from it, but you kind of like, you found out the joker. Like, I know you've been hiding out. And then you become friend with it. And then you learn to have tea with it. And then it doesn't bother you anymore. So it's not to get rid of it, to push it down, repress it and all that, but to learn to befriend, or like our teacher would say, to cuddle it, to learn and understand why the baby cries and keeps asking for attention. And when we're solid enough, we're fresh enough, we have clear mind, we're free from being like dominated by it, then that's an opportunity to understand. So that's the basic training we do here. And it's not easy. Things will come up because, we have to give ourselves some time. There's 30, 40, 50 years of training differently from our parents, from our siblings, from our society, from our education. So give yourself at least 50 years. Yeah, come on. It's like, but it is all possible. If anything, it requires some effort, some training, some patience, some time. So that's something, and I hate to say this because, it makes us want to like, to achieve something. And so that's where it's like, there is a practice, there is a way of being in the day that contributes to it, day by day. So it's not like we don't create an agenda and then, okay, after 3 months you get this, a year you get that. So our practice is very organic. And sometimes you get, kind of surprises, which is wonderful. So here we have many practices to create that condition for us to return and to check in. That's basically what it is. So what I just shared with you, that is the essence of why we do everything here. Whether it's working, sitting, walking, eating, talking, interacting, avoiding, hiding, whatever you do is fine as long as you have those elements. Okay, I know I'm hiding. I don't like people. Okay, I know I don't like people. I'm going to my room. Mindfulness is non-judgmental in that sense. It's like, okay, I'm going to run. I'm going to the mountain. These people, I had enough. But outside, it's just a habit. Here, okay, and when you understand where it's coming from, and you're not disturbed by it, then you go, okay, I'm going to choose to train to be there, right? And so that's the choice. And that's where the retraining happens. And I had to do all of that. It's great. I mean, if you like it, I imagine that's why you're here, is to check out who we are, some of our habits, and to see what is helpful and what is not. And so when we eat in silence, is to recognize the food. and to enjoy the meal, because outside we're rushed to eat. So that habit of seeing meal is just to fill our stomach so we can do our thing. Here we recognize the food is a gift of those people who cooked it, people who picked it. So we learn to actually, is a way of communicating with people who put energy, the farmers, Mother Earth, the season, the sun. So we retrain again to nourish our gratitude. So each meal will begin with 5 contemplation to remind us, to retrain ourselves, our attitude and our approach to food that sustains us, water that we drink. So when we eat, when we drink, it has that same attitude, like cherish these things that keep us alive, that helps and gives us opportunity to practice. Okay, so that's eating, and we'll serve in silence as well. So it has a little bit of that contemplation, and in the monastery, the monks, the novices, and we train actually how to stand in line, and the mental thought that we have, like, oh, my stomach's empty. I have a plate, a bowl, and I'm about to get food. So we conjure up all that gratitude and how lucky we are to have a meal, to be standing in line. So that's why we do things in silence. And when we serve, it's also nourishing so we bring a new relationship to food, because it's such a prominent thing, activity in our lives. So that's meditation as well. And when we sit down, find a place to sit, and we'll wait, and we'll begin together. And you'll see, just here, I share with you orientation stuff. You're not going to remember it. But one thing you should remember is watch. So you also learn to train to be in community. We're always in our little book, we're always, in our little thing. So we also train to be aware what is going on in the room, what people are doing, and you just follow it, copy it. And why is that useful? And when the kind of awareness, the mindfulness, that's also meditation. You're aware of your surrounding, and that is the most amazing thing to be training in. You walk in a room, you sense the energy. When you go home, you have that awareness, going to help you with your relationship, your children, your partner, your parents, your relatives. Okay, you adjust. You see, it's pretty cool. So when you're here, train to when you ask, oh, what should I be doing? Don't wait for someone to tell you. Try to intuitively figure it out. That is the way to train in Zen, because we're so used to instruction and schedule and procedures, which is great. Yeah, we should be told, what to do and not to do. But I just want to let you know that the underneath all that is pay attention. Where are people gathering? There's a lot of gathering in the monastery. When you hear the bell, it's usually 15 minutes before the gathering. Where are people going? Oh, okay. And then you go and you check it out. So that's a cool training. I had to learn that, and don't even look at your watch. Listen to the bell. Hopefully the monks will invite it on time. But that's also, I remember learning that not to look at your watch and the clock. That's a kind of a humanizing way to train too. Listen to the bell, and the next activity. So this is where to gather. And so you begin to kind of flow more, rather than all right, what's next? Okay, it's very automatic and mechanical. Anyway, I say this with disclaimer, because it's you got to follow the schedule, you got to know the time is new for you. But I'm just sharing with you, if you stay here after the 4th, 5th day, try to go to the advanced training. Don't look at your watch. Because this will be amazing when you go home. Because it makes you more heightened of other people. I guess in your house you normally are anyways. But at work or even on the freeway, at the grocery, you're just aware of like the energy. And you can contribute. And you don't allow it to penetrate you. So this is a kind of way of training too. And this is the advantage of community. You go to those meditation studio, you shop, you sit, and there's a cushion, and it's all very singular. When you come to a monastery with many people, you can train in being that dynamic social animal. And it's very, very helpful as you become aware of how the environment impacts you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that involves eating, meditation as well. Come in, try to be silent. And that's another thing. Be aware of how you relate to sound, how you close the door, how you move the chair. Try to think of not being loud, because it makes you more sensitive and mindful and careful. So when you can do that with doors, shoes, then you begin to do that with relationship with yourself. More caring, more gentle. Don't slam the door. You see the transfer? So eating. And so when you come in sitting meditation, try to come in, timely manner. Sit down and, pay attention to not disturb people. So how you move, how you sit, But if you see and you hear someone doing that, that's kind of nice too. So it might be you, and maybe next time someone else. They become the good object of other people's practice. Shuffling his robe again, Yeah, so everything is good, yeah. So, but try your best to come in a timely manner. In the morning, we sit at 5:45. Is that right? It's not 6, right? 6 was the retreat. 5:45, so probably get there 10 minutes early. Find your cushion, and you can sit on either side. I think that the sister, the nuns have some guests this week as well. But yeah, just find a spot, sit, settle. And in sitting meditation, the attitude is to be present and just enjoy like doing nothing. And there's no reason, you're not there to like achieve anything. You're there just to resist most of society, which is busy. And so our choice to sit still is very unproductive. Not good for the economy. It's terrible for the economy, but it's like there's something else worth it, yeah? So that's what you're helping with. And you're contributing to that. By sitting, I don't have to do anything. Just follow my breath. You see how all of a sudden that attitude, all of a sudden, you're like, man, I'm alive. One day I'm going to be in the hospital. Anyway, that's the deep looking and reflecting, which is another aspect of meditation. So it's not just stopping and, and being calm and being peaceful, but then when you're, you have that habit and you're settled and you have a easily look at clear mind. And so when emotion things come up, we also look and contemplate and hold feelings, thoughts, notions, emotions, judgments. So the meditation has this aspect of inducing insight. Like, oh yeah, I get it. Now I know why. It's like I'm in this situation. You see? And it even has like, you can rehearse. Okay, I'm going to talk to her today. And I'm going to share it very kindly. You visualize it. It's amazing. They do this in sports now. They learned it from us. Yeah? You ever heard of, what is it? Phil Jackson? Yeah. He became a meditator. He taught Jordan how to meditate. It's pretty cool, huh? And that's how they became so good. Don't get caught with the ball that you just missed. Stay in the present moment. And don't, you know. So in meditation, we can use some point where we actually can have some subjects to reflect on. So please remember that, okay? So meditation, these activity we do, and every activity we do is to reflect on what we are doing and being present for that activity. So that's most of the activity in our training, is to be present to it and to stay with it. When you're distracted, you stay. So that's the development of concentration. And when you create that habit, it can be applied to many things. When you're speaking, when you're listening, you bring that kind of mindfulness to it. I'm listening. Okay, now I'm commenting. Okay, I like, I don't dislike. Okay, this comparing mind. Okay, yeah, he sounds like, actually he's quite, then you recognize how good of a listener you are and how much of a commentator you are. And actually, if you leave here in a week and know the quality of your listening ability, that is a great plus. It's already worth it. Everything else is profit. Sorry to use all these terms. It's beneficial. It's extra. So this is and it's also fun too. I just, for myself, I was too serious. I wanted to be really like 100% 24-hour mindfulness monk. And my liver hardened after a while. They thought I had cancer. But I knew it was just the tightness of my mind trying to achieve it again. And I was trained in the school system how to be at the, the top of the curve or the edge of the curve? What do they call it? The tip of the curve? It's like the front of the curve, the bell curve. Yeah. I was really intensely trained in that. Went through a school system that was, that's all they think about. So I tried to do that as a monk. So these are things to be careful about, striving. Sitting, the attitude there is just to do nothing, but to enjoy being alive. And actually it's a privilege, because most of society can't do that. So we do it for them, to sit still and be unproductive and not feel guilty about it. And you don't have to make excuse to your parents, to your friends. And we need more of that in society. It's so busy, and we don't have time to take care of ourselves. So when we have time just to sit and love ourselves and care for ourselves, and not have to prove anything to our parents, to our loved one, to our partner, we're doing it for them. Because when we are more accepting of ourselves, we just a nicer person. I became a nicer person. I didn't walk around trying to have a chip on my. I'm always like upping people. You know that? The young people say, they use this thing called like upping. One up, yeah. You find a new partner, and then they say, my niece, they say, is that your new boyfriend? And are you upping? Or I don't know, it's the way they speak. And sometimes when we talk and I was like, I recognize that I like to be like always with the smart thing to say, It's so tense. And when I recognized that, I was like, wow, why do I do that? Why do I have, and it's painful to do that. And you kind of like stomp on other people. So in a way, it's like when we can just stop and sit, and be quiet and just enjoy the sun, the cloud. It's a way of just being comfortable, at ease with ourselves. That is love. We're learning to love ourselves and to celebrate. I've been reading and studying a lot about the different science disciplines, and it's really making me so heightenedly aware what a gift it is to be a human being. And we're only in this kind of awareness for 80, 90 years, if we're lucky. Isn't it a miracle? And then after that, you become like a flower or ashes or, weed or fungus or maybe a mushroom. But right now, it's like, we get to explore things, And I was sharing the last Dharma talk, Richard Feynman said, we are so lucky we are like at this scale, that we manifest it at this particular scale. I'm going to repeat myself, and not, because at this scale you get to really enjoy the infinitely small that we had, and then the infinitely large. Isn't that cool? It's like saying, man, your eyes are at this particular scale. And you get to enjoy the flower, and then you can actually start to look at the cells, and isn't that amazing? And then move it into the emotional and feeling. Like we get to feel pain when someone says something. I know it doesn't sound like it's very useful. But as a meditator, you can actually, wow, that was painful. And learn to be with that when we kind of sabotage ourselves. And we learn to be comfortable with that and not to double shoot it with another arrow. So we begin to see all that. And this is my some of my realization of some of my habits that I did. And I got that from my family. So these are things, when we sit, we're sitting and taking care of ourselves, loving ourselves. And when we do that, we're doing it for our loved ones and doing it for all those who can't do that, who don't have a choice because of their situation. So we're not sitting, it's not selfish, it's actually quite, and when we leave, we will be a nicer person. And people will benefit from our energy, our kindness, our carefulness. So this is our hope for you to, that whatever you need to find and you touch here, that you can replenish yourself on your time here. And like I shared, these two different habits, you can also retrain. So here, you can find relief. Maybe you're overwhelmed, you're burnt out. You can find some of that. But I hope also you can recognize a habit that you have and retrain it. Whether you're afraid of people, or you're judgmental, or you're restless, or you're whatever, tight, whatever it is that you habitually have as a body, in this body, or in your mind, your mental, those two things, body, mind. We have the habits. Or we're constantly thinking. This is the hardest habit. We're not used to not thinking. I asked the young man, we shared this to a young man, and he looked at me, he said, what's going to happen if I stop thinking? As if, he didn't know what it was, so I totally understood that, but he was afraid, like something like it's going to happen. That's how he framed it. And so we're so used to constantly commenting on things. You know that? Like, how many of you have partners? You live with your partner? Okay. That happens a lot, huh? It's like every little thing, it's like comment, back and forth. Not sustainable. I mean, so we learn to kind of, that's like a gift to your partnership. That's love, that's care. When you don't comment, it's like, I love you. And they can feel it, Like, you okay, honey? It's like, what happened? In 1 week at the monastery, you're silent? So, no, I love you, just the way you are. Yeah. That's, oh man, people have shared that with us. It's like, wow, it's a miracle, to just not comment. So anyway, things to retrain, habit, okay? Find one, learn a habit that you have that is not helpful and actually create suffering for yourself and for other people, and train yourself here. Okay, remember basketball. This will help you. Yeah? A week you can do it. Yeah, you have many other habits and they were all trained as well. So I just hope that you can recognize that. And the bell here, like I shared, and you hear the bell, just stop what you're doing. And it's a little mechanical at first, but it's our teacher's kind of insight in how our society is. We're so like triggered by sound, especially our cellular phone, that it's like it triggers us, stresses us. So our society has so many sounds that make us like rats, right? Sorry, that's not a put down, but running, right? And so the bell, you hear the bell invited for the activity, you hear the clock chime, you're gonna, the first time you experience it, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, whoa, right? And just recognize that everyone is doing is checking in, right? So we're retraining ourselves. We're such a habitual animal. We might as well train in good habits, which is stop, good thoughts, fresh thought. What's going on? Why am I rushing? See? Meditation. Each moment can be a meditation if we stop, take a breath. That's why we train in breathing, because it becomes the basic, do, me, re, fa, sol, right? You master that, awareness of breath. Take a breath and you recognize, oh, I'm sitting. I'm rushing. I'm walking calmly. So every time you hear the bell, that is what we are training in. You see the monks and people here, they are doing that. And silent sometimes can trigger too, especially in homes that are a little bit tough, like eating a meal in silence or just silence in general. It kind of, if we're in a family that had like a lot of, like my family, when there's silence in my family, I mean, somebody's not happy. Yeah? And I'm scared because I'm waiting for the door to slam sometime. So that could be a trigger. But here, silent, we retrain to be at ease and pay attention to the miracle, to the fresh thoughts. We're on planet Earth. You know where the moon is? It's sort of new. Where is it? The sun went down, so it's around over there. It's new moon. So you become like fully aware that you're a planet as well. It's kind of cool. If you meditate long enough, you're aware of like where it is, like constantly. And that's a kind of awareness that's non-human. What does that help? It takes us out of our thing, whatever you're dealing with. So when you hear the bell, it's just stop and then bring some perspective to it. So when you train that, you can use it when you go home. When you're at the stoplight, when you hear the siren, when you hear a bird. So everything, if you train, it becomes a bell, potentially be a bell for you. Do I need to be saying this? You see? So it becomes a habit of questioning what are you doing and why are you doing it. And that is so useful, those two questions. What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Okay, all right, do I need to be doing it? And then all of a sudden you have a different approach. That is the secret to being in relationships. But it takes some training because unfortunately our loved ones know all of our weak buttons, our weak points, right? So we need to become resilient, a mountain. It's like, yes, honey, I love you too. It's like, anyway, I don't want to get into that. And working, we'll share about working. Working is also a chance for you to train in habit of being productive, working fast, and so on. I won't go through everything. There's silence, meals, activities. I hope I haven't done orientation for many, many years. I totally forget what I need to cover. And sharing room. How many of you sharing room? Yeah, it's part of our community life as well. And there's some little bit, adjusting to do because we're so used to being in our own room, our own space. So in a way, it's also a kind of a reculturalizing ourselves to be with people and meeting people and sharing room, being sensitive and taking care of each other. So knowing, and that's beautiful. And that's a beautiful quality of being in community. And that's something we kind of lose a little bit with the way society and school is trained, is to be the individual and just stay in your fence, mind your own business and, and so on. So we live in community, we're aware of each other, and we become sensitive to that, to other people's needs and their well-being. And so this is also part of our practice. It's not just meditation, solo, and so our tradition is not like reclusive, separate, but it's to actually re-socialize ourselves, how to be with other people. And many of us have a little bit, and especially in the last year or two, a lot of anxiety and fearfulness is there. And so it's so linked to our unhappiness when we don't connect with people, and see each other's faces and make eye contact. And so this is something we can also, when we train here, of course we don't want to intrude in other people's spaces, but when you're sensitive, you can actually be an element in society that doesn't, that can resist that. I was sharing that sometime recently I was eating by myself. I went to the dentist and I was eating an Impossible Burger at a Fat Burger. And it was very crowded, but like people don't talk to each other. And I sat there and actually a feeling of loneliness came up. It's a long time since I felt like that. And it's because people outside would think it's unusual if I talk to them. You know what I mean? People are like, so everybody's got their little thing and nobody like talks to each other. Even the partner I remember in front of me, they're both eating, but they're on their thing, whatever their gadget. So in society, we need more of a, so when I go walking down, what was that recently, just doing, what was I, where was I? I see old people and, I try to talk to them and say hello. I met a mother and a child and he's like, Mom, Mom, Mom. And I just stopped right in front of him. He's like, whoa. And I was like, do you know what I am? And the boy's like, Mom. And then his mom says, and then he's like, a monk? And like, yeah, did your mom tell you that? He's like, yeah. And so, you can be an element that, you see, mindfulness, our place, and it contributes to, it balances out the anxiety, the fear, and a lot of news, NPR, right? And politics and all this stuff that's dividing us and making us feel that that's the world. But actually, it's the news. And they report and they shape our mind. We need to get hold of what happens to our 24-hour and go out there and interact. How you stand in the elevator, and then, it's kind of cool. You look around and you actually recognize people. I mean, disclaimer, okay? Do at your own risk. But I already look unusual, so I have an advantage. Yeah, people forgive me because, I'm already weird looking. So I get to do weird things, it's like, it's so great. In the elevator, you ever done that? Don't do it, but I get to do that. I'm like looking around and people, you'll catch somebody smiling. And that for me is like, makes the elevator ride profit. So anyway, this is, it's so wonderful to be, don't let the media shape how we think what is happening as a human family, okay? So as we practice here, we can generate that mind. I hope that kind of is clear a little bit. And so we're not just practicing for ourselves. We all have things that we're dealing with, but it is not as bad if you really think about it. I take you now, go to Palestine, go to Bhutan, we're actually, pretty set. But, we have our human drama, and we're here to learn how to relate to it differently. And so we hope this week for you that you find good friends, find community, and also find this beautiful person that you are, and that we are enough. In society, our friends, our loved ones sometimes give us messages that are a little mixed. But we are enough. The marketing, the media, their whole purpose is to make us feel like we're not enough. So please, hope if you touch anything, please, acknowledge and feel like, and don't wait for someone, a teacher, another person, your loved one. Be your best friend. Be your soulmate. And love yourself like you would love, the most valuable person. Yeah? So this is what's a miracle about. And when you do that, you're just automatically, naturally, without effort, a nicer person. So you don't have to attract anybody. You're just like happy with who you are. And it's like, it's fine if, so you don't need to kind of look for acknowledgement or acceptance. And this is the power of meditation. We become at home with ourselves. And this is, the most valuable thing in society right now. A human being who is content with who they are, even with their suffering. And so this is, if you think about it, that is the most valuable thing that right now that we need in society. Is someone who is happy with their situation, not like happy birthday, but they know their situation and they are doing their best. So that's the power of the practice. So I practice, year in, year out, and for me, that's I've just learned. That's what I've learned, to accept myself where I'm at. I'm not afraid that I still have this or that. I'm in process. It's kind of like I love that. I learned that from school, and it's always in process. So we don't try to fix ourselves. I am like this. So we lock ourselves in. But in process, it's so beautiful. It's like anything that's living, plant, animal, especially flowers and plants in the springtime, they're always in process, right? Going back to the earth, fall, winter, spring, right? So we are cyclic. So is our emotion. Sometimes it's up, some winter, okay. Sometimes we have like more than 4 seasons in a day, and it's okay. It's great. So that's I hope you can touch some of that. Thank you for listening and smiling behind your mask. So beautiful, And we don't need our mouths to know that we're smiling. Why is that? Isn't that great? It's like, wow. So what else do we need to know that we're smiling, right? So it's so beautiful. See your eyes, So please, hope you find some good friends here, connect, and we'll create more community. And we'll have reverberation, yeah? Yeah, the brothers were so excited. It's like, man, there's 27 people coming. Like, oh. Like, yeah, it's great. So we that's how much when you leave here in a week, because we don't go back, you go back, and that's how much there's 27 people going out with smiley faces and knowing themselves better. So for us, it makes our lives much more meaningful for you to practice and to be wholly who you are, fully who you are. Thank you, huh? We can end here with a song. Can we sing? I'll sing a line and you can repeat after me, okay? For those who are new. Happiness is here and now. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. I have dropped my worries. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. No longer in a hurry. No longer in a hurry. Again. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Now, somewhere to go, something to do. Somewhere to go, something to do. But no longer in a hurry. But no longer in a hurry. Is that right? But I don't need to hurry. Yeah. Very similar. So that's a song. We'll learn to sing more. And there's a lot of singing around here, so I hope you don't mind singing. When I first came to monastery, says, "What's all this singing?" So there's a lot of joy and singing in the song. So let's sit beautifully, and we can hear and come back to the singing of our breath. Okay, we can close our eyes, and we'll hear 3 sounds of the bell. And we come back to a sense of trust. We've somehow found the condition for us to come up here, to be in the mountain, in the monastery, in feeling grateful for all the conditions that will make this week happen. Those of you who are not used to this gesture is like a lotus, right? And it's a way we express our gratitude to each other, and we can also greet each other in this way. We bow to each other like that. In our mind, we think fresh thought is a lotus for you, a beautiful person you are. So that's the way we greet each other in the monastery. Or that the Buddha nature in you is alive, kind of look in their eye. And so you recognize and you see, like, they're a miracle. Like, you make eye contact, that's a very human quality. It's like, wow, you have that awareness. It's amazing, huh? It's like, you look at an animal too, they have it, yeah? And so that's the Buddha nature. Like, wow. All of a sudden, there's a lot of communication, eye contact. So much that sometimes it's scary. Like, wow. But isn't that amazing? That's a real miracle. So we bow like that. And so we do the same with this gesture when we stand up. After every activity, we bow to each other to express that quality that we all have and share. And so we pay gratitude to that. And then we turn to the altar, which represents all of our teachers, our ancestral teachers, all the beautiful people who developed and kind of like honed this tradition. Basically, all the humans before who are doing this, raising awareness, and then now it's come to us and we're learning it. So it's a gratitude to all the teachers who come before us. So that's what that gesture is about. So these are small sounds of the bell that help us stand up. And we stand behind our cushion. It's also to pay gratitude to the cushion and the mat for somewhat making it a little softer for our knees and our feet, right? And the cushion helping us sit. And this cushion has helped many people have aha moments. So even material things, you learn to respect. It's like, why do you bow to a cushion? It's like, that cushion right there, someone sat there and cried for the first time. So the cushion, we also pay gratitude. And everything, you can bow to the tree, you can bow to the sky. So it's a kind of like helping us be relating to material things. We bow to our food. Some people can bow to the sanitation machine. I've seen somebody do that before they turned it on. They're like, and I was like, whoa, I almost like opened my mouth and was like, why did you bow to the machine? But then I stopped and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Anyway, just these are some of the etiquette or culture of the monastery. Yeah. Have a good rest. Maybe we can all help bring the mats and cushion back. Yeah.